Yes, we are live. Welcome back, my dear friends. Welcome to episode number 44 of Zero Point Healing Show. And in this show, we are going to discuss about transform the patterns which keep you stuck. So that's what we are going to talk about. And today I have with me a professional specialized kinesiologist and a PSYCH-K certified facilitator, Rochelle. But before I move on to her, just a quick intro about me. I am Vishnupriya and I am a healer myself with multiple different modalities. And I'm also the founder of Zero Point Healing. Zero Point Healing is a web directory of all healers and therapists and facilitators who are transforming this world, who are transforming humanity, helping us overcome our problems and achieve the goals and desires that we have in our lives. So if you are a healer or therapist or a facilitator yourself, I would love for you to come in and take a look at zeropointhealing.com. You can register for free. And if you're interested in one such interview with me, just contact me. With that being said, I'm moving on to Rochelle. Welcome, Rochelle. Thank you so much for being with me today. And it's my absolute honor for having you in this show. So tell us a little bit about you and all of your journey into this holistic healing. I see that you are certified in multiple different specialties. So tell us a little bit about your journey before and after starting the holistic healing practice.
Hi, Vishnu. I just want to say first, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to be talking to you today and doing this Facebook Live. So this is something new for me. Thank you so much. Yes, my journey has always been one of, I've always been interested in health. It's always been really important to me. So many years ago, I started learning Pilates, and I got into teaching Pilates for many years to people who were suffering a lot of the time with pain. And I started realizing that there are patterns to everything. We are so habitual as human beings, and this started fascinating me. And working with physical bodies, working with muscles and bones, I could see the patterns. I could begin to anticipate how a person would get away from pain and learning the patterns of how we move. But then I realized that the muscle and bone was just one level, and that our patterns went much deeper. We all know, if you ever noticed, if you put your shoes on, you will always put the same shoe on first, whether it's your left one or your right one, that's the one that you do first. If you cross your arms, you will always cross the one arm over the other. These are all patterns and little habits. And we also pick up habits and patterns of speech and of things that we like to eat and things that it's all little ways to control our lives, that we feel safe and happy. If I do it this way, this is my way of doing it, this makes me safe and happy. So from the Pilates, I ended up studying specialized kinesiology, which is a very widely based discipline. We look at mental, emotional, physical, and energetic sides or aspects of the human, and how all of those are interlinked, and how a physical pattern can affect us emotionally, and how thoughts can affect us physically. And so this is a passion of mine, looking at the patterns and seeing how is this pattern hindering you, or how can we get a new pattern which will enhance and expand your potential. An interesting one is a pattern of pain. Pain is so all-encompassing, you have it all the time. And when we focus on it, it expands. Anything we focus on expands. So if I can get my Pilates clients to focus on the times of the day or the night when they have no pain, if we can focus on the small periods of time of no pain, then gradually those periods start expanding. And after a couple of weeks or a few months, depending on how severe their pain is, they start saying, I'm really not having very much pain. It's only every other day, and so it expands. So learning what your pattern is helps you to move away from it if it's a limiting pattern, and if it's something that is not serving you in life, and finding the opposite helps us to grow and expand for good. And PSYCH-K, which is one of the protocols I studied as a kinesiologist, is just beautiful for this because it really focuses on finding the positive. And it is so positive based and so positive focused that if you're not sure what the negative is and you're not sure what the pattern is, then it's difficult to find the right button to push for the positive.
That's so beautifully said. And you went straight into the title before I even asked for it. So that was beautiful that you gave us that information. Now, talking about kinesiology and knowing that you are a professional specialized kinesiologist, so tell us about how kinesiology works. And maybe you can also maybe show how you do the muscle testing and tell us a little bit about muscle testing. But before you get started, I think I would like to mention, so whether the PSYCH-K modality itself to my viewers is as per my understanding, it's about changing your beliefs, changing your perception, changing your emotions with regards to any kind of issue that you have had. Now, let's say you have anxiety or depression or any other physical issues or money, wealth issues, regardless of the area in which you're facing the difficulty, this usually stems from a pattern, as she was mentioning to us today. So what PSYCH-K helps us do is remove those patterns and create a new pattern of abundance, of painlessness, if that's a word, of, of being emotionally balanced. So as per as my understanding, that's what PSYCH-K is, just to give you a general information. So Rochelle, feel free to expand on that as well if you would like. But my question again was about kinesiology and muscle testing and how that works.
All right, Vishnu. Well, kinesiology is basically using muscle testing as a biofeedback system so that your subconscious can communicate with me and choose what it needs to heal. So your subconscious is 95% of your being, whereas your conscious thinking mind is 5%. Your subconscious is formed in the first 6 or 7 years of life, and it becomes almost your operating system of how you do life. And this is where the patterns come in. Very often our patterns are laid down in that first few years of life, and it's not often we accept or take on patterns, we wear them like secondhand clothes. We've just taken them on and not thought about what they are and whether they serve us. So with kinesiology, as long as I am, if I'm working with a client in person, as long as I'm in contact with them, their subconscious has access to my knowledge. And so it can communicate with me and allow me to know what you need in order to heal. PSYCH-K is the same, but we can also do distance healing, or distance work, which works on the premise of entanglement. So we are all connected on some level, and energy has no time or space. So I can use kinesiology as a biofeedback system with my body representing your energy. So it allows me to do a muscle test to be able to see which way we need to go in order to give you the information that you need, or the balance that you need, or the right statement that you need. So in PSYCH-K, we work very much with reprogramming those belief systems that are laid down in the subconscious in early life, or by trauma, or by repetition. We're able to access the subconscious and test how your body or your subconscious is reacting to a specific situation or to a statement. So if we get a weak muscle test, then we know that needs addressing in PSYCH-K, and so we will do something, finding a statement if that's necessary, or working with a different process to find whichever is the best process for you that you need for that specific context. And then we work with it. And we know that we've changed the program or reprogrammed the belief when we get a strong muscle test. So it's very clear, and it's very simple, and it's very personal. Every single person is different. They have a different path. They have different patterns. They need different things. And kinesiology allows us to cater very, very specifically to your unique needs.
Yes, and can you give us a quick demo of how you do it? Maybe just by using your name and showing us. I'm putting you on spot without informing you about this.
All right, so there are many different ways that you can muscle test. The one that I use most of the time is the finger one. So by pushing on the finger, I can get a yes, or I can think no, 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 and I will get a muscle that unlocks. So it sounds really easy. It took me a couple of years to self-test, I have to say, because you have to step out of your own way. You have to disengage and allow the subconscious to come up. So working with someone, I have to be very clear of my intention and very, in PSYCH-K, we call it working as an isumata. So the holder of the sacred space where wisdom is revealed. So I've got to hold space while I'm muscle testing so that I know that I'm getting an accurate reading. So we can muscle test, but remember, and there are a lot of people who muscle test. When they learn muscle testing, it is quite a wow factor because it is so amazing. But we really need to remember that any time that we're muscle testing, it needs to be done in context. You know, can I eat carrots today is not a context. Can I eat carrots today because my teeth can handle a raw carrot, or because there is electricity to cook the carrots, because it suits my budget, or because I'm really hungry and carrot is what I need? You know, we need to find a context that we're testing in. We can't just go, can I eat carrots today? Yes, okay, but we don't know why. What is the context? So being a little bit more specific with our muscle testing will always give more accurate results.
That's nice. You do it like this is what you said, because I've seen it done
Yes.
like this.
I know, and I've tried that one. This one works better for me. So it's just pushing gently on the index finger with the middle finger.
Like that?
Yeah. So you'll feel the resistance, but if you disengage, you know, you can push up on that and you can find that you can work really hard, but you need to disengage to be able to get that test that it just flows. Be
All
open
right.
to the
And if I'm saying yes, for example, yes, 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 and it is holding strong, no, 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 it just gives a small shake
it
there.
gets more, yeah, it's sometimes just more mushy, and it tends to be when I'm working a full hour protocol with a person, the more gently I test, the more reliable the test. So a lot of muscle testing, you really see people thumping down on that arm and really trying to overpower the person. And then you just get a wall coming, the ego gets involved. So if you're gentle and more subtle, then you get subconscious, and the readings can be beautifully accurate.
That's so beautiful. I learned something new today because I was always doing this and this is just not working for me. It's like, this just doesn't work. Whether I say yes or no, it has the same effect. And I was like, okay, there's something wrong, but I think I should play around with that. Thank you. All right.
You can also play with the body sway. So if you can feel the body sway as well, but then you'll just need to decipher which is your yes and which is your no. Often moving towards is yes and moving away from would be no. Just feeling your body weight and where your body sways. It's another one that lots of people use.
Yep, I've tried that as well. For some reason, I don't trust myself, I guess. I'm going to work on that very soon. Coming back. So now moving on to a PSYCH-K session. So tell us, for example, first question, what kind of issues, problems, the current problems in a person's life can PSYCH-K solve? And then tell us how it is solving and what's happening inside a PSYCH-K session.
Well, if you listen to the testimonials, PSYCH-K can solve almost any issue. It is hugely wide, and it can be quite intimidating sometimes when a person comes in with this huge issue, and I think, oh my word, this is such a big issue. But if I just take a breath and trust the process of PSYCH-K, it is such a beautiful process. So once we get together for a session, we test for communication. So we check that we've got clear and concise communication, and we also test for permission. So it is really important that we have permission, that it is safe and appropriate to be doing the work that we're doing. Sometimes something will come up and it's not safe and appropriate, and that could be because we need to do something else first. It could also be that the person that we are working with, it's not safe and appropriate to balance on that day. For some reason, they could be not feeling well, they could be, who knows. It's very rare. I have not had any time where someone is outright denied. It's just sometimes we've needed to do some more work first. So for me, looking for where the person's discomfort is, what is worrying you, how are you feeling when you think about this particular problem? So let's take anxiety. What makes you feel anxious? How do you feel in the state? What is the physical, visceral feeling in your body when you're in this state? And then we would try to decide how would you prefer to feel. So it's not about me telling you this is what you need to be, this is what you need to feel. It's very much where you need to go and what you need. I can ask a person, what do you need to feel better? I had one person that said to me, I need to, I forget the exact words, but I need to be supportive for the table. So sometimes it makes no sense, but if that's what's bubbled up in the subconscious, we work towards that, and by the end of the balance, it all makes sense. So we follow breadcrumbs. I like working with the change perception balance, which is changing perceptions of an event. So remember that stress is caused when we feel that we are in danger or threatened in some way. And we go into a sympathetic or fight or flight state very, very easily. What happens is that the brain sets up a pattern. If we have survived with that before, the brain will repeat that. Every time anything reminds us of something to do with that event, we will re-trigger the stress, and we will go through all of those visceral feelings of anxiety, churning gut, sweating, whatever. We will go through all of that again. So if we can take a person back to the original event, allow them to be there and change their perception of the event, they feel very different afterwards. So remember that I said that subconscious forms in childhood in the first 6 or 7 years of life. If you're 6 or 7 years old and something happens, you're looking at it with a 6 or 7-year-old brain. Now, so many years later, we are adults. We have lived through the crisis. We have better understanding and more wisdom. So now we're taking our adult brain back to the 6 or 7-year-old event, or it could be much later than that, but we take the person back into that event, having lived through all of it and taking our more mature, more wise brain with us. And we just sit in that event. You just think about what happened. And very often you will feel your body let go. So sometimes the distress may increase before it dissipates. I once had a client whose whole face was moving. His eyebrows, his eyelids, his whole face was fluttering the whole time that he was doing this process. And I saw the minute that his perception changed, because everything in his face stopped. Everything got quiet. And then he said, I'm done. So it is such a beautiful process because you process your own trauma or dis-ease without having to discuss it. I sometimes don't even know what went on. And my partner that I'm working with processes the whole event in their own small bubble and comes out feeling better.
And when it comes to changing this perception, when you are rerunning the event in your mind, you are just rerunning it without thinking of, oh, I want to change this, right? You're just rerunning it. Am I right?
You're just putting yourself back in the event. You're just imagining yourself back there. So in specialized kinesiology, we call a correction is sometimes called a better neurological option. So your brain when we're in a stressful situation, we drain the blood from 30% of our body's blood volume in the head, in the brain. We go down to 7% of the body's blood volume in the brain. So we drain blood out of the right hemisphere of the brain, the corpus callosum, and the front left brain, and we go to the back left, survival brain. And we work on memory banks when we're in a stressed situation. Because we don't have the prefrontal cortex operating, we're working on only what we've done before. Now, when we go into a perception balance, we have you in a whole brain position, which stimulates the 4 quadrants of the brain to work. So now you're taking your full brain back to that situation and allowing yourself time to find a better way of doing life, knowing that that event is in the past and that you're safe. And the result is that you let go of that visceral reaction. You are no longer reacting, redoing that past event, so that you can look back on it with peace and non-attachment. It's a memory you will never forget, and sometimes people do forget it, but we can't change the past, but we can change the way that we react to the past. We can change the way that we perceive the past. And that affects us very deeply, because they've proved that changing your perceptions, changing that, affects your epigenetics. So it's going right down to a very deep cell level.
Mm-hmm. And a quick question on that. How do you put a client into this whole brain state?
Well, that's part of the PSYCH-K protocol. So I can't demonstrate it for you, unfortunately. But there is a certain process that we go through to find the optimum configuration of the whole brain state for that person. And then they will do their balance. They do the work in that position.
Okay.
Yeah.
And doing the work, meaning recollecting and being in the event in this whole brain state, is different from just remembering that event in a normal state. Is that right?
Yes, because when you're not in the whole brain state, very often, because we react, and you can feel if you've had some traumatic event or scary event or disappointing event in the past, when you go back there, you feel all of those feelings again. You feel your gut clench, you feel the tightness in your throat, you feel your heartbeat speeding up. So you're going back into fight and flight. So what I love with PSYCH-K and with kinesiology is, many years ago when I came out of an abusive marriage, I went to a psychologist for therapy, but I found that I was talking about the process over and over again, and I didn't feel like I was getting any tools to help me to get out of the hole I was in. And it was when I first went to a kinesiologist that I felt this huge shift, because we're doing, by merely being in the whole brain state, you are changing an energetic, you're changing your energy. You're going back with a different energy. So it's not the same as talk therapy. It's not the same as just sitting and thinking about the event. You're actually making an energetic shift within your being. And that is why it's so effective.
So beautiful. So now is my time. So what happened with PSYCH-K, we cannot do a group healing or a demo. And therefore, what Rochelle suggested was that she would give me a PSYCH-K session before the interview so that I can share my experience. So that's what I'm going to do now. And for me, throughout my life, the major issue or the major challenge that I had been going through is the money scarcity. And I think a lot of us have the same issue. And I had been born and brought up with this scarcity, and there is so much scarcity beliefs that I've had. And once I started becoming a healer and going through different healing sessions, it was slowly changing. But in my session with Rochelle, I have also had PSYCH-K sessions with few other facilitators. Now I'm going to tell you what difference that I personally had with the experience I had with Rochelle. So it was about money scarcity, and we did 3 balances, and that's what PSYCH-K calls it as balances. It's for different scenario, different it can be for different beliefs, it can be for different perceptions. So Rochelle's way of working that I found interesting was she is all about changing perceptions. And she does this by helping us, as she was talking about, going back to this traumatic event, whatever that is. In my case, the first one that we worked was about debt. So debt was something huge. And I think most of us have at least a little bit of credit card debt, or in my case, I had I had huge. So that was something that I wanted to work on. And I did the session. So the first one was, and it was interesting that she brought up a question which was like, is there shame associated with the debt that you have? And that was like eye-opening for me. I was like, when I felt into it, I was like, yes, there is shame. And most of us, when we have debt, it's like an embarrassment. It's like a shame that we have this debt sitting there, which is affecting our life and affecting, it's as if like a degradation, if you will. So I had this shame associated with it, and she made me do this balance. And through the balance, again, it was about reviewing this and letting that shame emotion release from it. And I love the way she says about the peace and non-attachment. So we are doing the process until we feel a peace with it and non-attachment with it, rather than having any emotion, whether it is anger or shame or blaming, complaining, or in fear, worry. All of these are, like, I would say it is glue that is just gluing us to that particular event. That pattern keeps repeating. So if you have debt, and if you have shame or other negative lower emotions tied to it, the pattern keeps repeating, meaning your debt keeps increasing, in other words. So what happened during the session is she's doing this balance for me until a point where I feel just non-attached with this whole scenario. So what that makes us do is just let go of that pattern, and there's no emotions attached to that anymore. We are in peace with it. And then the second balance we did was a specific period in my lifetime where I had all of this money scarcity going on, with lots of negative emotions, crying and being in fear at that point. So I didn't say that I cried during the session. That didn't happen. It was such a comfortable session. I'm not discussing word by word what happened in that past event. I'm just reviewing that in my mind as I am sitting in this whole brain state, as she mentioned. And while doing the process, I felt maybe it took 1 to 2 minutes for me to be in the event and release those emotions and become non-attached to it. So that was the second balance. And then the third one was the most interesting. It was, we started with the topic of saving money. And what it led us to was, she asked me, okay, what kind of belief you would like to have? And out of the blue, I got this statement that I am supported by the divine. So then she asked me, would you like to have it as trust? Do you want to have it like, okay, I trust that the divine supports me? I was like, yes, trusting is one of the major pillar there. So I added that, and then she started. So there is like, I think 10 or more different balances with PSYCH-K. And what they do is they do this surrogation where she's connecting with my subconscious, and she's doing the muscle testing that we were talking about to find which balance a particular goal statement or a particular perception needs. And then, just like the first two balances, she started doing all of this, checking which balance is needed, and she ran out of the balances. And finally, we found there was this message balance, which my subconscious mind needed for this specific belief that I trust that I'm supported by the divine. And the message balance was so interesting. And she got a card and gave me this message. And the message just was so amazing. It just synced in with exactly what I wanted to hear from the divine. And just by reading that message, totally shifted. So before the message, she muscle tested in me this particular belief, and the muscle testing was weak. And then right after reading this message, she tested it again and it was strong. I was like, wow, that was an amazing experience for me, which I haven't had with any other facilitators. And I could also see how much her professional specialized kinesiology background is actually helping in all of this process with PSYCH-K. So that was my experience with Rochelle. Anything to add there, Rochelle, for you?
I think the thing that I love about the work that I do is watching people's aha moments. It's witnessing that breakthrough, that shift from the stress to the peace and non-attachment, the joy of receiving a message which is so spot on and exactly what you need. I think there are just miracles that happen with PSYCH-K all the time. And in modern life, we've become so jaded and I suppose negative that we don't see the miracles that happen all the time. We think of miracles being some way out thing, but you know, the fact that the sun rises every morning is a miracle. The way that the flowers open and the leaves fall off the trees in autumn, we're surrounded by miracles. And we can experience our own miracles through healing. You know, we are the ones that heal. A doctor can put stitches in, but we do the healing. Have you ever thought of what a miracle it is that we heal a cut? Or that some people are able to heal disease, and some people are able to overcome incredible odds and survive. It's all miracles. And I think we need to be a little more open to miracles and to communication that can happen all the time through thoughts and through messages. And maybe we need to have a little more faith and listen with ears that are a little different to the ones we're using, so that we can hear those messages and experience the joy of our own small healing steps.
Yes, and it was really, really a miracle for me, because receiving a divine message is never ever an expected thing out of a PSYCH-K session, for me at least. And it was like, wow. And it happened right before my birthday. That was like the night before my birthday. I was like, wow, such an amazing gift that I've got from the divine. I was like, wow. Anyways, we are finishing it very soon. So, but I think, can you give us a little bit of examples? For example, it was money scarcity in my case. Can you give us some of the examples of problems that you can help the clients with? Just give us a list of examples.
Yes. Wow. So I've worked with all different sorts of issues. The ones that stand out to me, one particular person who felt that he needed to have a degree to take his business to the next level. Because that is how he was raised. You must have this degree, and he didn't have this degree, and so he felt limited. And then after the PSYCH-K, I got a message a couple of days later, and he said, I've had the guts to take that next step. So that was so wonderful to see how, even though a person who was professional, he had a business that was successful, and to get to that next step, to reach out on an international level, that was really awesome that the PSYCH-K helped him there. Relationships, issues with relationships, and understanding that we're reacting to issues from the past. Money issues, abundance blocks are such a lovely one to do, because you say, all right, let's go back and see what is your first memory of working with money. And you get a story about washing the carrots with your little brother as a child, and an accident happening and your pocket money being taken away to pay for the repairs to your little brother's head. Or what is your first memory of money? I remember every time my grandmother left, I would cry about there not being enough milk, and I always have to have milk in my home. Milk had been connected with nurturing, which was connected with money. It was all tied up in a little tangle. And we can't understand why we have these strange quirks of never running out of milk or of always doing something a certain way. And it's because it's a pattern that comes from way back that helped us to survive. So it really is anything that you're struggling with. On the downside, whether it's anxiety, depression, bad base emotion, not bad emotions, but base low frequency emotions. And after a balance, people will say, they will describe how they feel as free or safe or having space to breathe, quiet, tranquil. Someone who's trying to overcome abundance blocks or blocks to their potential will say afterwards, oh, I feel so motivated. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get out. So it doesn't matter where you are. Finding the pattern and discovering what the pattern is liberates you no matter what the problem is. And it's not always in a way that we expect, which is why we haven't found it. So really anything.
That's so amazing. And you are doing sessions online, isn't it? And
absolutely.
And you're personally in South Africa and you do in-person sessions in your office space?
I am. I'm in South Africa, and I work. Yes, I work from my own space online for PSYCH-K. So it is amazing because I'm able to reach out to people all over the world, which is very rewarding and very interesting with the different cultures and seeing how those cultural beliefs impact us. You can find me online at my website, which is www.keep-moving.co.za. Or you can just Google me, Rochelle Skeet, and you will come up with my details. And
yes,
we'd love to help anyone out there.
And we also have Rochelle's link posted in the box below. You can just click on that to book a session with her. And as a special gift for you for watching this video, we have a 10% off discount coupon code, which is 0 Point. You can let her know that you found her from 0 Point, and she will be giving you a 10% off in your first booking. Thank you so much, Rochelle. We are completing the session. Thank you so much for all of everything that you have shared, and thank you so much for my session as well.
Thank you, Vishnu, for the opportunity. It's been so wonderful to be with you, and it was such an honor to facilitate a session for you, and may you go from strength to strength.
Thank you. Thank you so much, my dear viewers. If you're watching this on YouTube, please share and subscribe. Click on the subscribe button. The more subscribers we have, the more this video will be shown to others, and so we can start helping others as well. Thank you so much for all of your support. I'm going to meet you in the next show. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.